Hello everyone, hi there. Welcome to MixStream episode 23. This is another episode of MixStream, right? The live streaming show that I do every fortnightly. That means every 2 weeks on a Friday night lah. Well, this is episode 23 already, and I've been doing this YouTube channel thingy for almost a year, right? Awesome, okay? For everyone who's watching, who's tuning in right now, welcome to the show, right? Really appreciate you tuning in and watching in on a Friday night. I know there's so many other things to do, okay? Now that we are under, not under an MCO state anymore, right? We can go out, we can hang out, we can do a lot of other stuff, right? I'm so happy that live events and live music is back on again. That is really, really awesome. There are probably some gigs that happened last week, and some are happening this weekend as well. So right, that is great lah. It's a good sign for the Malaysian music industry to have all this back again. Man, I really, really miss all those concerts and live gigs and all that. And not that I managed to go to a lot of them because I'm usually always stuck here at the studio lah. Okay. All right, so first of all, let me get a little bit of sort of announcements out of the way. Okay, first of all, if you are watching this right now, okay, go to the live chat area towards the side of your screen or at the bottom, depending on what device you're watching. There's a live chat right now, and say hi, okay? Right, say hi. Let me know that you are there, that you are watching this right now. Let me know where you're from. All right, we've got lots of viewers. I had people coming on board all the way, not only from Malaysia but from the Philippines, from all the way to Canada. That's right. I have audiences all around the world, and that's the awesome thing about internet. That's awesome thing about YouTube is that your music, you can reach out to almost everyone in the world as long as you have a audience lah. Okay, so a couple of other things out of the way. If you are watching this right now, and if you're not a subscriber, I do hope that you do head on down and click what you're waiting for. Click on the subscribe button and become a subscriber to the channel. Okay, I really appreciate that. Some things about the channel is that I kind of just want to quickly share. I'm so excited, right? Within this past 1 week, we hit a couple of milestones. We hit our 1,000 subscribers, right, on the Studio 2105, the direct access YouTube channel. We've also hit the threshold, and we've just been approved as a YouTube partner. Okay, so right, it's awesome. I started doing this when we here in Malaysia went into our first MCO, our first PKP back in March, which was like a year ago. And seeing all the musicians out of work, seeing all the live gigs and live events, I felt that there was another way. Maybe there's some other way which I can let bands share their music, the music that they're working on, the songs that they may have recorded, but now you can't go on tours. They couldn't tour. They couldn't go and perform. So this was where the idea of MixStream and MixStream and the entire direct access channel came about lah. So right, maybe I can't help it, right? Let me sort of explain how this works, okay? But before I go into that, I guess everyone here would be super excited, right, to listen to tonight's band, to this episode's featured band, and for a very, very good reason. Because this band is a legend in the Malaysian indie rock scene, okay? This band has been around way longer than even I have been playing music, way longer even before I got into the music industry with my band, Pop Shovit, in late 2000, early 2001, okay? This band has been around since 1994. They're one of Malaysia's most beloved indie bands out there. They are from Ipoh, although a couple of guys are of course based here in KL, down in the Klang Valley already, right? But everyone always remember them as the band from Ipoh lah. And who am I talking about, right? The one and only MUCK, okay? So, right, woohoo! Let's give a clap and an applause for them, okay? I hope that Doctor and the rest of the band are gonna jump in the live chat because I did ask them to, but um, it is definitely understood that if you can't, great news, right? Doctor just became a new dad, right? His wife just gave birth to a new a new baby, so right, just a month ago, and he's also in the process of moving to a new house. So I know he's going through a lot right now, okay, right? Understand that he's going through quite a lot of pressure and stress at the moment. So it's perfectly understandable, right? So, hey guys, right? If you love Mark, right, leave it in the comments here, right? I will definitely, if anything, any messages that you want to pass to them, you know, just leave them down in the chat session, or if you're watching in the comment section, at another date, let them know. I will definitely, right, pass the message on to Doctor and the rest of the band, okay? So this is their brand new song, or I should say these are actually their brand new songs that I've actually recorded here at Studio 2105. We recorded this late in 2020, around November and December, okay? Then obviously in January, MCO2 happened lah, and right, a lot of things got held up and postponed and delayed, right? Hence, that's why now only I've managed to get down the to sit down and mix on it. Now, if you kind of look at the screen, all right, on Cubase, there's actually 3 songs. We recorded all of this in one session. They're super awesome, and they're so fast. They're so much fun to work with. We recorded practically all the drums, the bass, and the main rhythm guitars, everything in one day, one session. Man, right? If more bands were to do that, my job will be so much easier. Right? We don't have to spend so much time, right, recording the tracks, this and that, and all that. So yeah, they practically just spent 2 sessions. One session to I think 3 sessions, right? One session to track all the main rhythm parts, as you can see, drums, bass, ductoids, rhythm guitars, okay? And then the lead parts was the second session, and I can't remember, did they do the vocals at the same time? Well, memory, man, right? Something that happened a few months ago, and I can't really remember already. If I look back at my logbooks, I will remember lah. But essentially, it was done in 2 or 3 sessions, right? So this is awesome. So this song, I understand that this is going to be part of a split album release that they're going to be putting out, and this is their first new material in a long, long time, and the fans definitely, the MUCK fans have definitely been, right? They've been patient lah. They've been waiting long enough. Okay, so we're gonna give you a sneak peek of one of the songs. Okay, obviously not gonna sneak peek all 3 songs lah. So this track is titled "Pretty Girl in Jeans," right? And it's really, really nice. It's a fun, catchy track. Okay. So without further ado, let's head on down. And oh, sorry, before that, um, okay. I know you guys can't wait, but I really have to get these things out of the way first. By the way, as you can see up in the stream, right above there, there's some text up there. So what happens is that one of the ideas behind the MixStream program is that we want to help to support our favorite local artists, okay? And one of the ways that we can do it, right? Obviously, you can buy their merch, you can stream their songs, stream their CDs, you can go to their gigs, attend their shows, but still touring and everything is still gonna be really, really hard now lah. So one of these ways that you can do is that actually, right, on this program, if you want to, right, contribute, if you want to financially help and support, okay, the band, you can head on down to this website that I have below. I run this crowdfunding. I have a account with the crowdfunding website Patreon. Head on down to the website up there, www.patreon.com/studio2105. Right, you can sign up to become a patron, okay? And what you do is that all you need to do is just sign up. There are different tiers. You just check it out at the website lah. But when you do so, all I need you to do is to message me through the website or whatever way or whatever platform. Let me know that you have pledged right, your membership for that month, your subscription, patron subscription for that month. But let me know, right, you should use the code MixStream Ep.23, okay, MixStream 23, so that I know that your dedication, your pledge is going to go towards MUCK, right, towards the artist, okay. So 50% of the revenue is going to go to the featured artists, right, and basically it's a kind of a revenue share, a profit share thing, and 50% would go towards the support of my YouTube channel, okay. Really appreciate it. You don't have to if you don't feel obligated to, okay, right. You can always support the band in many other ways as well. Buy their merch, buy the album when it comes out, okay, and many other ways. But this is just one way that you can do it as well, okay. So now, without further ado, let's get on down to the mixing session, okay. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'm gonna check out I will definitely go and look at the live chat sessions from time to time, but I do apologize if I don't, right, if I can't answer or look at it, because usually I'm focusing on the mix itself, okay, and from time to time I will take a look at it lah. All right, so first things first, right, for those of you who tuned in early, you would have probably heard the music in the background. So that is the music, right, without the vocals. So let's take, first of all, a listen to the rough mix of the song, okay. All right, let's take a listen to it. It's always important before you go and dive into all the individual tracks to always take a big picture look. Get a rough balance going, right, all the parts, right, check out where all the different instrumental parts are coming in, what needs to be highlighted, what needs to be sit at the back, what needs to come to the front. All of these things you organize and we prep it lah, okay. So obviously all this has been prepped, and let's take a listen to the rough mix. In the meantime, right, I'll check out what's in the chat, okay. So here is the rough balance, okay. That means no EQ, no compression, or maybe some compression on some of the tracks lah, but basically that is just a balance and some panning, that's all, okay. Here we go, let's play back, and right, here we go.
Your breath and mine were made to walk. Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my
Hey, now we go to the chorus.
your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense if you were gone. Your breath and mine were made to one. Broken dreams, broken dreams. Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense if you were gone. Your breath and mine were made to one. Broken dreams, broken dreams.
Second verse.
Push those angry feelings aside. Put on your happy thoughts for a while. I will be right here. Won't you ever fear? Wrap my hand around your shoulder. Rest your hand, you'll feel better. Time to be free. Just you and me.
All right. And that's it, short and sweet, okay? So that is a rough mix of the song Pretty Girl in Jeans, okay? This is classic lah, right? You know, the super simple song arrangement, awesome, catchy melody. What you guys think, man? Do you like the song, all right? This is just the rough mix itself, and you know, sometimes it feels like I'm a little bit worried as well, right? When I wanted to tackle this song because, you know, one of the things that we as engineers and producers that sometimes we tend to maybe over process and overdo things. So with MUCK, I have to be very conscious and aware that, you know, for an indie rock kind of a sound, we're not going to make everything super polished and super refined. In fact, all the rough edges and right, all the rawness there is what makes that's where the beauty of the track is lah. Okay, so I'll definitely have to keep that in mind as I'm mixing it tonight. Okay, right. So let's dive into it. Okay, so a couple of other comments right there. Let's see. Wing Hong, right? Hi JD, this is nice and said. I'm from Ipoh too, and MUCK is definitely our legend. Yeah, man. All right. Toily, hi fans. MUCK from Kajang. Thank you, JD. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in, man. Right. Zachariah says pretty song. Okay. Yes. Right. Definitely a pretty sounding song. Right. Really awesome. And Wing Hong says trademark. Yeah, indeed, man. Indeed. Okay. So now let's dive into it. Okay. You've heard the rough mix, so let me first of all start by maybe let's just mute everything first. What we're gonna do, right, first of all, is I want to ensure and set my initial levels. Okay. What do I mean by initial levels? Okay, this has got to do with how I gain stage all the tracks and the recording. Now, obviously, in the recording, all right, we always gain stage and make sure that our signals, whatever that we've recorded, right, the sources, the instruments that we recorded, are at the right level and at the appropriate level. Gain staging is something you have to take care all the way through, all right, even in the mixing session, especially even though you are dealing with digital audio. And how do we do that? How do I set this initial level? Okay, I do use a very simple thing to a simple benchmark, so to speak, and that is by referring to the kick drum. So let me mute this. Okay, so what do I mean by referring to the kick drum? So here's the kick drum track right here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I want to have this kick drum peaking at about minus 12 dB fs. Okay, 12 dB fs. And the reason why I said it there, so that everything else, the rest of the drum kit, all the other instruments, the vocals, and all the other parts are going to be balanced relative to that. So every mix and I do, every project I do, right, I balance and I set the kick drum so that it peaks at minus 12 dB fs. So every time I mix, the volume level that I end up, right, is going to be consistent. Firstly, there's enough headroom. Okay, again, this is part of gain staging lah. You have enough headroom that you are not going to clip your master bus, and inversely, on the other end, your signal, your level is not going to be so low that eventually later on, if you during the mastering stage where you try to bring and make everything loud for broadcast level, for release to whatever mediums, be it digital or CD, you don't end up with a level so low that when you do that, all the noise floor, right, also comes up as well. So that's why it's important to gain stage even in the digital domain. Okay, so very simple. Let's do that. First of all, let me sort of turn on, okay, some of the master bus processing that I have. Okay, I'm not going to go too much in detail into this. Okay, this one you can actually check out another video that's already on my channel. The video is called My Cubase Project Template, where I talk very much in detail about all these things, about what I use on my master bus, okay, and all that. But let's just set this. Okay, a couple of things that I maybe want to change is that with MUCK, I kind of want a slightly more aggressive sound from the console emulation, okay? So here, this is virtual mix rack. Let me go and change this first of all, right? Now, if for those of you who watch me and watch all my other programs, you know that um, my virtual Mixbus and my virtual channel setting is most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's always on the USA setting. USA here meaning the API console, because for me, my ear kind of gravitates towards that sound, right? The API. But for this track, okay, I feel that we need something a little bit more aggressive, okay? Aggressive in the mid range, and the perfect console emulation to get that kind of vibe would be the SSL 4000, okay? So I'm going to switch this over to the 4K G, and every time I put on the all the console emulation and tape emulation tracks, I want to keep that in mind as well, that I'm going to put in the SSL 4000K. So, right, 4000K, well, 4000G lah. I'm getting confused with the 9000K. Okay, that's a totally different SSL console. Okay, now so let me load it up. I have a preset already for almost every channel. So what I'm gonna do is, here we go, right? Mix VCC and VTM 4K, right? It's a preset that I know that I've already set it for the SSL 4000G. Okay, let me just do one little thing first. Let me turn this noise reduction on, and let me just save that. Let me just save that as a preset again. Okay, so that because I don't use this that often, that's why. Okay, so 4000G with drums. Okay, cool. Override. Here we go. Okay, so now let's balance this kick drum so that it will peak at minus 12 dB FS. Okay, now this 12 dB FS is not it's not a hard and fast rule. This is just my value that I set lah. If you want to set, you want to aim for a little higher, minus 10 dBFS, minus 9, minus 8, go ahead. Okay, you want to go for a little lower, also fine, minus 14. But right around that range lah, around the area, minus 12, minus 10, plus minus a couple of dB, that should be fine. That should keep you in safe territory. Okay, now this has always been a little bit hard, but you might not be able to see the master. Okay, maybe if I put this all the way here, you can see good. Okay, yeah. See, this is the master output, right? So I will want the kick drum to peak at about minus 12 dBFS. Okay, so pay attention to this. I'll be trying to get this to peak at minus 12 dBFS, and here we go. All right. Okay, this is going to the drum bass. Okay, all right. Let's go forward. Okay, let me turn this volume. All right, so let's turn it up a bit more. Let me reset this. Okay, cool. There we go. So you can see the master is about minus 12.8, 12.4. Maybe some peaks will go a little harder, but that's perfectly fine. Okay, so my kick here is about minus 6 dB. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna do too much to this. Okay, let's go to the kick drum channel again. Let me bring this over here so that you can see. Now I'm actually working on a dual monitor setup, so right, sometimes I may be jumping over to this other screen which you can't see and tweaking some other stuff, but I'll try and move everything over to my left hand side screen so that you can see what's going on. Alright, so let's start with the kick drum first of all. Here we go. Okay. We'll start with a little bit of high pass at about 20. And honestly, there's really not much that I want to do. Okay, there's really not much I want to do with this kick drum, right? The recording was really good. Right? I'm not trying to blow my horn and trying to say that I recorded it very well, but in terms of the playing, it was really even. Right, and I am actually not gonna put any. I'm not a fan of putting compression on the closed mic channels. Okay, but I am gonna EQ a little bit. Let's pull in the SSL EQ, the FGS. Just want to scoop out a little bit of the 2K region. Right. Right, not 2K, 200, right? So about 230 hertz. Let's get a wider bandwidth. Okay, so it just scoops out a little bit of the boxiness. Okay, right, right, right. All that bleed that's happening there is really insignificant once you blend in all the other tracks. Okay, what I will do next is I don't put a compressor right on the close mics, but what I like to do is I like to put a limiter instead. So this is the limiter that I use. This is called a Boss Digital Labs little clipper. So what it does is just going to clip the very peaks lah. Okay, so that's all it does. Just the very peaks, a little tiny bit of limiting. Okay, let's pull it down. The kick drum is so even already, right? Natural dynamics the way it is. There really isn't a need for me to put any compressor lah. Okay, again, it goes back to, right, I've said it so many times, it's all about the source. Okay, that one maybe kind of made it a little crunchy. Let me just back that off a bit. Right, the better your source, and when we talk about source here, we are talking about all the way from, let's try and extrapolate, right? It goes all the way back to the song. Okay, let's not forget, the song has to be good. It has got to have a good melody, good catchy hook, right? Because look, if it's a lousy song, right, it's not catchy, horrible melody, no matter how good the production or the mixing value is, people are not going to resonate with it. Okay, so you have to start with the song, then followed by obviously the players and the instruments and the recording. So get a good capture, and everything else down the line is going to be so much easier. Okay, and let's play a little bit more with the kick drum. I don't think we need that much. That's all. Okay, right, let me try maybe just shave off a little bit of the top end. Okay, that's it. All right, let's not do much. Okay, we ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, now kick drum is done. Okay, kick drum is done. Let's go over to the overheads. So same thing, let's put in the same tape emulation and console emulation. Right, I'm not going to explain too much about that. Basically, right, I'm just emulating in the digital realm which we're working on right now. What I'm going to do is we're just going to be emulating the signal flow as if we recorded this on an analog tape and then coming into a channel of a large format analog console. In this case, an SSL 4000. So let's do that. That will be the same. Let me just copy it over for the overhead right. Okay, let's link the two channels. And okay, I'm going to skip all the snare first, right? But what I want to do is I want to blend in the overheads. Some people refer this as top-down mixing when it comes to drums. Well, top-down also is in reference to the master bus. But here, I'm just talk about drums. So some folks, right, some approach, they will start with the kick, and then they put in the close mics, the snare, the hats, and all that. Then no need to bring up the overheads. That's one way of approaching it. So the other way, which is the more top-down approach, is you start with the overheads first, then you fill in the rest of the close mics. Now, my personal preference is to do it this way, right? Because I love to have the overall sound of the drum kit first. I feel there's more glue to it, you know. I treat the drum kit as one single instrument. It's not a separate individual collection. It's not a collection of separate individual instruments, kick, snare, hat. They should function and be treated together as such as one unit lah. So here we go. All right, let's blend in the overheads. Let's bring that in first. Okay. Okay, that was a little bit loud at the start. Okay, now let me just trim off this little part at the start first. Okay, right. Usually this sort of thing, all right, some of this little editing stuff, I would actually have gotten my intern to do it earlier already, but I think probably we probably might have not done this. And the overheads are already getting a big majority of the sound. Okay, let's check the polarity on the overheads for a second. Okay, great. Okay, everything seems to be in order. Okay, So with overheads, I would use this. This is the AUSYS E2 de-esser. So de-essers are not just only useful for de-essing. You can use that because a de-esser is essentially just a frequency-specific compressor. That's what it is, okay? It's a frequency-specific compressor that's used to just, you can just dial in whatever particular frequency, right? Most commonly, if you talk about de-essing vocals, right, all the SS vocals are, right? 5, 6K, 7K onwards. But you can also use this to target any kind of other frequencies as well. So this I'm going to use to sort of soften the overheads a little bit, give it a little bit, you know, just to round off the sum of the top end. So let's check it out. That's it. Right? Not more than 1 or 2 dB. That's it. All right? Especially when we crash, okay? Especially when it goes into the crash. Here we go. There we go. That's it. Super, super simple, okay? Now let's go with the snare drum next, okay? Let's put in the 4kg. Okay, now you notice here that actually there is an instance of the trigger too, which is the Steven Slate's trigger, right? It is the drum triggering and the drum replacement software. Now I've actually already done, right, some drum sample replacement here on the kick and the snare, but I'm not going to rely on that. Again, with MUCK, right, being an indie, more of an indie or rock kind of a sound, I want to keep it as raw as possible. And I have all these samples just as a backup in case later on, once I've mixed everything, I feel that it just needs a little bit, if the kick or the snare just needs a little bit of reinforcement, I will just blend those samples in. So that's my approach that I'm going to take with this song, okay? So let's go snare. Okay, snare, as you can see, I have actually got 3 tracks. Snare A. Snare A is actually a dynamic microphone. Snare B is actually using a condenser, and snare bottom is also a dynamic as well. Okay, so let's go with snare A first. Let's just check it out. All right, same tape and console emulation. Let's bring this in. Okay, polarity. Okay, when you invert the polarity, you hear that, you know, you lose all the bottom end of the body, so polarity is correct. Okay, and that's it. I'll probably roll off a little bit of the top. Yep. And pretty much it. That's all. That's all we need. Okay. Now, let's do the same with the condenser track. Let's check it out. This will probably have a little bit more bottom end and a little bit more top end as well, being a condenser. Yep, you can see it's a lot way brighter. Some of the hi-hat is bleeding a little bit, but let's see. Let's just roll off a little bit of it. Okay, it's probably, again, when you listen in context, it's probably going to be fine. Okay, so it's very important to always listen to all your tracks in context with each other. Sometimes you solo into something, you might hit, oh, you know, it's like, oh, it sounds really ugly. Oh, there's a lot of bleed. But somehow when you mix everything together, in the end, it doesn't matter anymore. In fact, bleed can actually be your friend, okay? And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the toms. All right, so here we go. Let's blend in the snare. Alright, okay. Alright, so just let me key in this value. Oh, sorry, alright. Alright, I might be working. Let me turn off this mixer on this screen so that, alright, I won't be tempted to go over to my right hand side and then you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so let me go back here. Let's blend in the snare bottom right now. Okay, so the snare bottom, now if you have the option, if you do any drum recording, any folks are doing a drum recording back at home, if you have the extra channels and you have the extra mics, it's always useful and handy to have the snare bottom. Not because, you know, oh wow, I can catch more detail, but right, the snare bottom actually acts more like in tonal control. Because what it does is that you can, right, it helps to capture more of the rattle of the snare wire. So If you want your snare sound to be a little bit brighter, all you need to do is just bring in a little bit of the snare bottom. That's all, okay? So let's check out the snare bottom. Okay, I'm gonna roll off a lot of the bottom end. Okay, this one I probably want to EQ a little bit more, okay? So some of the little resonance, right? Because again, I want to just capture more of the sizzle of the snare wires at the bottom. Okay. So that's about 360 hertz. There's a little bit of a resonance there on the snare. Okay, and another at about 990 hertz. Okay. Okay. Let's leave the top end alone, okay? Right? Okay, that's perfectly fine. Okay, and then let's dial it in. So pay attention, okay? You see that as I bring in the more of the snare bottom, yeah, it gets a little bit louder, but it also gets brighter. So that's why I mean snare bottom is useful as a tone control. Oh, folks, I hope you are watching this. Right? I highly recommend that you either, right, if you have a good pair of speakers or headphones, monitor headphones, or at least, right, a good pair of earphones to listen to. Yeah, otherwise, if you're only watching this from your smartphone or TV, right, then you can't hear a lot of things. Then you really won't appreciate some of the finer details that's happening around here, okay? So, right, I recommend that you listen to all of this stuff, okay? Whatever we're doing here, the EQ processing, the changes, on a good pair of monitor speakers if you have, or right, a good pair of headphones, okay? Okay, so here we go. Let's bring in the snare bottom once again. See, it gets a little bit brighter. Let me mute it. See, a bit dark. Voila, automatically, okay? So snare bottom is like a tone control. Okay, now, again, going back to the template video, you will also see how I organize my groups, my buses, my effects templates, and all that, how I lay out everything. This is all for workflow and to make everything efficient. So inside the drums, okay, all the snare and the different elements are all being bussed and being routed to their own groups. So all the snare tracks, the snare channels are all being routed to this snare group over here, this one with the blue fader, okay? So if I were to solo on this, it would solo all the snare tracks, right? Super simple, right? Okay, so let's just solo all of these in isolation for now, okay? Okay, lovely, okay? So I think I mentioned as well, like, again, no compression on this, right? I'll let it breathe, but I will put a little bit, same thing, a limiter on this. Okay, let's check out which part of the song. I usually want to sort of set it to wherever the loudest hits are, which looks like it's somewhere here. Okay, yeah. Okay, that sounded like it was a little kind of overhit on the rim, all right? But don't let's not worry about too much lah, okay? Okay, let's bring the limiter down. See what happens when it catches it. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. We can still bring it down a little bit more, I think. Okay, right. A little fine tuning of the EQ. Okay, cool. That's all we need. Right. What I'm going to introduce and bring in, I love using this on snare, but let's try something. Let's try something else. Do we have the Okay, let me bring in another instance of the virtual mix rack, because what I want to bring in is the SSL EQ, and there we go. Let me bypass all of this first. We don't need all this, because by default, that's what it loads up, you see. So snare track again. Ooh, okay. I just want to brighten it up. Listen in context. Okay, and play, please. Here we go. Nice. Okay. Yeah, let's bring the clipper down so that it kind of does clip all of that. Okay, now I feel like I probably need to back off on the snare bottom a little bit. Okay, awesome. Yeah, let's move on now to the room. Okay, so I have a let me try and see. Are these? I can't remember. Were this was this a separate pair, or was I using the Vanguard Labs? Oh, this definitely looks like, because looking at how even the two room tracks looks like, this is definitely something that I was using the Vanguard V44 stereo mic on. Okay, all right, same thing. Let's load up the tape and console emulation. All right, thanks guys. Hope you guys are all hanging in there. Okay, all right, let's go and link these two. Let's blend in the room. Okay. Okay, not too much. Okay, not too much. I think just a little bit. All right, because if I put in a lot more of the room, they start to sound a little bit more arena, a little more stadium-like. So, not too, we're not going for like a big power ballad kind of a drum sound, right? So a little bit less of the room. Let me just EQ some of the room a little bit. Okay, we took out some of the top end already, I suppose. Okay. Okay, there's a little bit of resonance at 200. That's probably from the room. Okay, cool. Now with the room, let's go to play around a little bit. Okay. Let's go and let's compress the room and let's see what happens. Okay. So this is Pulsar's Smasher. This is an emulation of the 1176 with the all buttons mode. So what this is going to do is that this is really going to compress it really heavily. Okay, we're going to go all the way and really smash it. So if we look at listen 100%, you can obviously hear it's super distorted. All right, but we're just going to back it off a little bit. Okay. So what it does is that this is going to increase a lot of the sustain because you're compressing it so heavily, right? It's increasing the sustain. You're bringing out the ambience, all the low-level detail, which is, the room ambience, all the harmonic detail as well, okay? So whenever you compress, whenever you squash like this, right, it's not just always about level. You actually change the tone as well, so bear that in mind, okay? So there's a little bit of tonal change as well. Let's see how this sounds in context. We might need to either add more or back it off depending on how it goes, okay? Maybe more. Bypass. Awesome. Especially I think in the verse you can hear it. This is all the room. Let me back off with some of that. Let me roll off a little bit more of the low end in the room again. And this little frequency, it's about 670 hertz. Let's kick that out. Okay, you can see that it's got that nice crunch right at the top end, the mid-range at the top. You could go a little bit more, I think. And voila, that's it. Okay. Now, set and don't forget, let's move on very quickly. Don't spend too much time focusing on only one particular track or one particular instrument. Let's go and see this part where the hi-hat is. Okay. Let's go to the verse. That's where the hi-hat mostly is. Okay, cool. Alright, so I've kind of already EQ'd and high-passed most of it because you don't need the bottom end. Okay, now a little bit of... Yeah, so I guess this 670 is actually one of the kind of the resonant frequencies that's inside my drum room. So you notice, right, on the room mic, you had that 670 hertz where I had to cut out. So even on this hi-hat track also, I had to, right, do a little notch here lah. Voila, and there you go. Now let's bring in the ride, because the ride is also pretty important. Let's see where it goes. Ride cymbal. Alright. Alright. Okay, let's bring it here. Okay, now the ride in this ride was treated pretty much as more of a crash ride. Okay, right, so it was more of a trash instead of a traditional, you know, hitting on the with the stick on the edge of the ride kind of a thing. So it was more of crash to get even more washy sound. So I'm not gonna need a lot of this because the overheads are usually capturing the ride really well already. So we'll just blend it a little bit of it in just to localize it a little bit, so that instead of so you hear that it's more coming out from this side of the speaker. Okay. Okay, right. Just feel I need to EQ the snare a little bit more. Okay, right, so as you can see here, I've not added any reverb at all. All of that is coming from the room. So, right, so that's where it's very beneficial to have a room mic also lah. Okay, let's go to the toms, and there's actually not much toms on this song. It's only one little part here, so let's go to it. Okay. Toms, first of all, again, let's go with the console and tape emulation. Okay, here we go. Right. Oh, Doctor just messaged. He said, "Oh, sorry, can't make it. His internet is down." All right. Yeah, internet sucks here. Carry on, bro. Okay. Hey, guys, if you're watching this, okay, if you got a message for Doctor, okay, he can't join us in the chat lah, unfortunately. If there's anything you want to shout out to Doctor, right, just write it down in the chat section there. I will pass the message to him lah. I'll just screenshot everything and I'll send it over to Doctor for him to read lah. Okay, but really appreciate it. Okay, let's go on. Let's move on to the toms right now. Let's check first of all the phase coherency with the overheads. Although again, it was recorded here, so I did check it. But sometimes when you insert the plugin, in this case, sometimes it can alter the relationship, so it's always worth double checking. Okay, so let's cycle the toms. Okay, phase flip. Interesting. It's a whole different sound. Okay, right, but clearly the way it was originally has got more bottom end, right? So it's not a bad sound altogether, but you know, clearly the one that was original has a bit more bottom lah. Okay, so let's solo just the first tom now. Just take out a little bit of bottom. Sounds great the way it is already, man. Just needs a little bit of EQ. To take out about 330. Well, I want to point out one little thing here. You know this is 330, right? 330. What happens if you take 330 and you times 2? You multiply it by 2, you get 660. And it was the resonance that we can hear in the room. So you see, resonances always usually work like in a whole number multiples of each other lah. If you find an issue with a frequency, let's say at 100 hertz, very often, right, it will, at 200, you also find there will be some kind of a resonance. Then from 200 to 400, you also find something, okay, because these are all octaves, right? These are all the upper harmonics of those frequencies lah. So that's why, I spotted something here at 330, and I'm not surprised at 330, right? That's an issue, right? That there's some weird thing at 330 because the room, I can hear something going on at about 660. So I guess that's probably why 330, 660, right? They are multiples of each other lah. So with experience, you will notice all these things lah. Perfect. That's it. All right. Not so much EQ. Okay, let's go to there's only one little floor tom at the end. Whew, okay. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, invert the phase, or let me put the VTM and VCC first. In fact, there's even more bottom end now. Flip. Awesome, very cool, right? I kind of prefer the way with the polarity inverted. So again, you show in recording, sometimes you check the polarity in your phase, but sometimes in the mix, especially when you introduce other plugins inside the insert in the signal path, you may find that maybe you need to change it, flip it around. Maybe the other way, right, will sound better. So don't always be right. The word that I use, the phrase, and for those of you who watch all these different episodes, you will hear me say it over and over again. You set and you don't forget, right? Set and don't forget. You set something, right? Move on to the next thing, but don't forget what you did, because later on, whatever those decisions that you've made early on could affect something that you do next. And likewise, something that you do later on down the line could affect something you did earlier on. So everything affects everything, so don't forget what you did lah. Let's bring this a little tighter in. Don't need it to be super wide, although I personally like drums to be really, really wide, but let's tighten it up a little bit. And that's it. That's the drums. Okay, let me just clean up this part. Okay, dish. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that will be a nice place for for everything to decay out lah. Okay, roughly about 2 bars. So let's do a fade out. Let's see how it sounds. Smooth or not? That's all right. That's pretty okay. Okay, now I mentioned that, okay, I don't put a lot of, like I said, I don't put a lot of compression on the individual tracks and drums, but I do like to put a compressor on the overall drum bus and the drum group. And what I use is the API 2500. This is my favorite sounding one that's on the drums. Okay, let's check it out how it goes. This is a pretty much a preset which I've already set and calibrated for drums already. Usually I just need to mess around with the attack and maybe a little bit of the output gainer. So let's check it out. Okay, so again, boils down to setting the levels. Early on, where I say I set my kick drum to minus 12 dB FS, it's not an arbitrary number that I just pull out, for the sake of doing it. Again, with consistency, when your levels are calibrated and even from mix to mix, right, you get consistency, and you will know later on how all your processes later down the line will react. Okay, so it simplifies the workflow. That's all. Okay, it's just to make the workflow easier. So let's check out the drums. Okay. Bypass. All right, I love what it's doing. I love what it's doing. The bypass. Okay, maybe let's change the attack. All right, this usually the if I increase the attack to either 0.3 or 0.1, usually the snare will cut through a little bit more. So let's check it out. All right, 0.3 milliseconds. Too much. I think 0.3 is good. Or maybe 0.1. Nice, okay. Okay, now let me just drop in the API EQ because I just want to sneak out a little bit of the 400 and 200 range, okay, just a tiny bit, just like 1 dB, right? So essentially I think I'm kind of got a wide scoop at about 300 lah, right, because it's averaging out between these two frequencies. You know what, let's not do it, let's keep it in, right? But let's just leave the circuitry on, okay? Because I feel that it's sucking out a little bit too much. Let's just leave it there first. Again, set it. Don't forget it, okay? All right, let's move on to, with the drums. I'm hearing some other things again, but again, must remind myself to resist the temptation to go in and surgically remove all the stuff, okay? Let's keep all the imperfections in, right? This is really, really part of the key element of, you know, something that's a little bit more indie rock, okay? Let's move on to the bass. So that's the drums, okay? What else is going on down here? Hey, right. Let's see. If you want to chat, please let me know. If you have any questions, anything, please say hi that in the comment section lah, okay? Right? I really, really appreciate it. Okay, let's move on. The bass was recorded with 2 DIs. That's how I record bass here. I use a radial, right, JDI, and I also use an Aguilar tone hammer, right? So the JDI is to get a clean signal from the bass, whilst the Aguilar is to get a much more dirtier signal, okay? A little bit more character, so to speak. So let's take a listen to this. So this would just be the clean. Okay, I think I know why we're not hearing it, because of this plugin here. Oops, that's a different song. I'm not supposed to leak that, okay? Let's go back to Pretty Girl in Jeans, okay? Okay, cool. You know, it looks like I've actually already been messing around with some of the EQ and processing even during the tracking. And that's actually not a very unusual thing nowadays, especially when working inside the digital domain with the DAW, because everything is recallable, right? Everything can be saved, everything can be preset. I remember that we really loved the sound of what we got here. And so, right, I don't think I'm going to mess around too much. I'm just going to bring in and inject in the tape and console emulation just to give it a little bit more saturation, okay, and to just give it maybe a little bit more girth, just to give it a slightly more fatness, okay, right? Because I think what we've got over here sounds really awesome, really. Okay, so where were we with that? Okay, let's copy this setting over to the tone hammer. Let me just solo the tone hammer so you guys can, so not only you, right, but I can also take a listen, right? Alright, okay. You can see the tone hammer is a bit more scooped, right? It's going for more of a character, right? It's a little bit more kind of a scoop sound. But I would want to maybe take off a little bit of the bottom end from the tone hammer. Like 100 below. Okay, because I would rather have the bottom end, the real bottom end, to be a little bit clean. I might go a little higher, who knows, okay? Let's take a listen to it and let's see. Alright, so this bass and drums together. Here we go. Nice, aggressive, clunky bass. Sweet. Okay, now let me just play around with the I'll very quickly brief you guys and show you what I do, okay, what I have on my bass channel. As I mentioned, right, the two bass tracks, they're all routed over to the bass group over here, this bus. What I have firstly over here, this is the Wave C4. This is a multi-band compressor, but in this one I only engage the first band, which is the low band. So what this does is that this is only going to compress the very lowest band of frequencies at the real bottom end of the bass. Okay, so here it's about 180 hertz and below lah. Okay, sometimes I will go up to about 200, right? But usually around that 180 below, because that will, right, sort of massage the bottom end a little bit. Okay, now I will keep a lot of things a little bit more raw. The drums will be very, very raw in this case, okay, not doing much to it. But bass is one where I feel like I will need to be a little bit more aggressive with the processing, because it's really important lah, okay, to have a really, really solid, fat, and even low end. Okay, so even though regardless of what genre or what style we're mixing, I think that's one thing that really needs to pay attention, and one of the biggest challenges, right, is to get your low end correct. So that's what Wave C4 is doing. It's just going to control and compress the very, very bottom low end so it doesn't get too boomy. But what's next following here, this is called Surfer EQ, right? And this is a it's a very cool EQ. It's made by Sound Radix in conjunction with Focusrite. Now, they call this a Surfer EQ Boogie, right, Focusrite edition, because this is actually a light version of the actual full plugin, okay? But what it does is that this plugin has got this channel here in the middle called the Surfer channel, and you see what it does, okay? Pay attention to what it does. Look at the green symbol here. You can see it's actually tracking the root note, the fundamental note of the bass. C, G, C, 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 D, da, 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 da. Right? So, right, this song is in G, okay? So, it's very cool. It's an intelligent EQ that can track all the frequencies. But not only can you set it to track the fundamental, right? In this case, this one here represents the fundamental, but you can also change it to multiples of either below, less than that, 0.9, 0.8 onwards, or even above. So let's say 2. 2 here in this case would be 1 octave above the fundamental. Okay, so you see 49, we get 98 hertz, and so on and so forth, right? 3 would be 147. Okay, that's would be the second harmonic lah, right? Okay, 4 and 4 will be 2 octaves above, so on and so forth. Okay, so I want to use this to sort of maybe get rid of some of maybe either the third or the fifth, okay, like where you heard. In this case, this is the fifth harmonic. Let me bump it up so that you can hear what I'm talking about. See this note? So this note isn't really it's enharmonic, but it's not really doesn't really harmonize and gel well with the actual root note. So it's useful to always EQ, right, it out. So the difference between the great thing about Surfer EQ is because it's an intelligent EQ that can track the frequency, it will jump and move along, right, and track that exact the fifth harmonic as well of that, and deal with that harmonic. Okay, so super cool. This will help to clean up the bass sound a little bit lah. Cool. So a little less of that, a little less of the some of the resonances up top. Okay, what else I wanted to show you? 1176, right? This is a stock, it's not stock. Okay, stock to me because I use this all the time. All right, so this is the blue stripe. Alright, fairly aggressive with the compression. Actually, not really. This kind of medium. Alright, I'm not really like pinning it or slamming it too much. Followed by Bass Rider. So Bass Rider. Okay, right. So this is where maybe I want to modify this a little bit. Let's go with gentle, right, and go for a little more even, lah, because that sounds a little bit too aggressive there. So yeah, so Bass Rider is also another intelligent plugin which it's not a compressor, because what a compressor does, it detects the threshold and then it applies gain reduction. Bass Rider is different. Bass Rider looks ahead at the signal, right, and it writes the volume down appropriately. It's as if you have, you know, an engineer or an assistant somewhere who can react super fast. Okay, so this is basically what it is. So it doesn't act the same way, it doesn't give you the similar result, but right, it helps to even out the bass. Here we go. So in theory, you see all the attack is still preserved because this is looking ahead. It's not a compressor. Nice. All super even. And that's it. That's my drums and bass, man. Okay. Let's ignore these channels, these two first, because this is actually on another song, which I can't share, right? I'm not supposed to leak out the other two songs, okay? Right. But let's go to the guitars. All right. Let's just take a quick listen to what we have first, okay? Very quickly, let me just show you. So let's see. Okay, this MS here, I think this was a it was a Mustang, right? So this was a Mustang. We recorded a Mustang on the, I can't remember which amp. Okay, again, man, I guess when you are getting into your 40s, your memory isn't that good. I can't even remember which amp that I used to record this. Like, it could either have been the Laney or the AC30. Okay, so anyway, it's recorded with, right, this is actually a double track guitar part. It's a Fender Mustang. So I used two microphones on the amp. One is the Beyerdynamic M160. This is a ribbon mic, and the other is an Audio-Technica ATM 650, which is a dynamic. I love the combination of these two, a ribbon and a dynamic. Okay, so let's take a quick listen to how the guitars sound like. Okay. Awesome! I love that crunch. You know what? I really feel that I don't need to do anything. Okay, with it, maybe a little tiny bit, maybe just to roll off some of the extreme bottom end. But it sounds great the way it is, man. I feel like I don't need to touch or EQ the guitars at all. Okay. Right. I don't know. Right. Maybe if you guys are watching, if you are hearing this, if you kind of, we'll see how it goes. If you have any comments, okay. All right. What is going on? Okay, over here. Right. Hey, we got someone else joining in as well. Zulkhairi Effendi. Terima kasih, man. Thanks for joining in through the live stream. Okay, we're kind of halfway through. Right, there already. So let's go on with the rhythm guitar. So all I'm going to do is just going to plunk in the same thing lah, the tape and console emulation. It really doesn't feel like I need to EQ this at all, man. Right. Okay, one more thing that I would want to point out, in case, right, you probably would have noticed as well, there's actually a DI track. So the DI track, let's see, what was I using here? Yeah, okay, cool. Right. So I think we were blending this, okay, with the something that was from the VST amp simulation. In this one, the amp roots. But let's take a look at it later, okay? Because it was kind of there just for the just an experiment when we were doing the tracking session. You know, we're more than happy enough with the guitar sound that we have lah. Okay, let me sort of rearrange this so that the mic tracks are all going to sit together. There we go. Okay, let's play that again. Let's just loop this section. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's solo the guitars a little bit. Alright, okay. Again, not gonna do much. What I will do is just going to put a little bit of dynamic EQ on the guitars, okay? Yeah, compression also doesn't really need it lah. Okay. So what I'm gonna use here is this is called TDR Nova. So TDR Nova is from the company Tokyo Dawn Research, Tokyo Dawn Labs, right? This plugin developer. Nova is what we call a parallel dynamic EQ. So what's a dynamic EQ, you might be wondering? We got EQ already, why does the EQ be dynamic? So, remember the de-esser? Which we know I describe it as a frequency specific, which you can tune into those specific frequencies, and you will compress those frequencies, you will turn those frequencies down. This is essentially what a dynamic EQ is, right? It is a EQ which behaves like a compressor, or you could say it's a compressor which you can tune into specific frequencies and specific EQs. Okay, so super powerful, and I do recommend that you go and check this out and download this, because this plugin is actually free. Right, TDR, right, Tokyo Dawn Labs are so generous that they give out this one free. Okay, the full version, right, has 6 bands. The free version already has 4 bands already, which is awesome lah. Okay, I've told myself to actually go and maybe go and pay them and purchase the full version. I'll probably do that lah the next time. Okay, the next MixStream I'll go and buy the full version. Okay, right. I hope it doesn't bite me in the ass back when next week and I still haven't purchased it lah. Okay. Anyway, so here we go. Let's just do a little bit of high pass, 12 dB per octave. So just maybe. Okay, only one thing that bugs me lah will be this one. Let's tune, right? We can solo the frequency, right? Let's select the narrow bandwidth. At about 400. Okay, just a little eakiness at about 400. That's a little bit annoying. Let's go with the default settings, okay? Because the attack is really pretty fast. In fact, let's go a little faster. Let's go to fastest attack, okay? And let's just turn this down. Okay, ratio, probably bring it up to 3 or 4, I think. And voila, that's it, okay? So you can see what a dynamic EQ does, right? Is that it, as you can see, as it jumps around and it dances around. A dynamic EQ will only cut or boost whatever parameter that you set it to when that particular bandwidth range or frequencies exceeds the threshold. It's very simple. Not like a regular EQ. A regular EQ, when you apply a boost or cut, it will continuously cut that particular frequency, right, around that particular bandwidth. A dynamic EQ doesn't. A dynamic EQ, if that frequency exceeds the threshold, in that case, right, this little frequency here, which I heard, that note there, that's about 400 hertz. Okay, that was kind of annoying, right, throughout that. So if we, so only when that frequency jumps out a little bit, this is where the dynamic EQ will act. So this is very, very powerful because it makes the EQ very, very transparent. What I mean by transparent is that, right, only when those frequencies needed to be cut jump out, then only it reacts. When it's not there, when nothing needs to be done, the EQ disengages, right? You can see it goes ups and down, right? And it doesn't affect the EQ, right? And it doesn't affect the sound, okay? So it preserves the sound. It's very, very transparent. It's very powerful. That's probably all I need. All right, let's listen to In Context once again. Okay, very cool. Oops, I accidentally opened this chorus. Hey, it's not meant to have a chorus there, okay? All right. But what I wanted to do was I just want to maybe add a tiny touch of EQ to just maybe push the guitars, give it a little bit slight more, a little bit more bite, just a tiny bit of it. So what I'm gonna do is the BX 9098 and 2098 actually. Now this is actually the emulation of it's a Brainworks, the emulation of the 9098 EQ, all right, which is the AMAC the Neve 9098 lah. Okay, so here we go. Let's go and tune in and see what are we looking for. This would be more of a it's either usually a high mid thing, but sometimes with a high shelf it does something as well. So let's explore that. Okay, let's not rule things out. So let's go with Sheen. All right, and let's bring it down to about 8K. All right, 8K. Let's see what happens. Interesting. You see, it really makes the guitar jump forward a little bit. Listen in context. Very important. Okay, might jump a little bit too much, so let me just back it down and see. Or in fact, what I will do is let me go with the, where is the input? There we go. Let me try and compensate this one down and see whether So let's back this down maybe 2 dB and let's bypass. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, right. Okay, and for me, I hear that the guitars have a little bit more bite, a little bit more forward, but I think we need to shift this frequency a little bit higher up. So instead of 8, maybe let's need to go to about 10. Let's play around with it. Okay, bypass. Okay, yeah, I think that's a little bit better. So this is about 12K instead. Now I wanted to just give a little bit of that sheen, a little bit of air to the guitars, right? But I didn't want it to make it too apparent that it's gone louder. Because just now when I was at 8K, I think because of the shape of the shelf, it might have brought the level up, right? Because of, it could have brought 3K, 4K up as well, because that's not what I want to do. Okay, let's try it one more time. Bypass and okay, now we can compensate this back up to maybe about 1 dB. Okay, sweet. Listening context. Okay, right. I am again very, very tempted to EQ, right? A lot of stuff. Okay, but let me just explore this first. Okay, it's just a little bit of that. A Mustang, Fenders, right? Single coil, right? Some of the offset guitars, P90s, anything with single coil, they usually will be a little bit more biting on the upper mid range, okay, 4-5K range, and it's the characteristic, it is a characteristic of the a single coil guitar sound. So you obviously don't want to totally eliminate and erase the character, because right, what's the point then? Okay, we're not trying to turn a single coil guitar and make it sound like a Les Paul, like a humbucker. See, likewise, you can't take a Les Paul, a humbucker, and try and make it sound like a Strat. Okay, so, but I just want to see, maybe I can just take the edge off a little bit at the top. And again, TDR Nova is going to be great for this lah. So let's go to another band here. This is the third band, and just explore this a little bit, okay? All right, humor me for a while. About 4K, right? That's where I suspect lah. All right, it's usually around that. I'm gonna keep this very gentle, 2 milliseconds, the default settings. Okay, 5 milliseconds, 180 ratio of 2, so it's fairly gentle. It's not as aggressive as the 4:1 ratio which I had earlier, because I want this to just soothe out that 4K range a little bit. That's all. Back the Q down to about 1.8. Okay, now, again, I'm going to EQ this a tiny touch, but set and don't forget, okay? What I like just now with the a little bit of dynamic EQ at 4K is that I kind of smoothed out some of the super harsh, the harshness of the single coil, but we still maintain the bite and the crunch of the overdrive toner. Okay, here I'm just doing a little narrow cut at about 780, because that's a bit honky, it's a little bit nasal, right? Again, just a tiny thing, and that should probably be enough. Okay, sweet, okay. Now, next thing that I'm going to do is, let's go into the clean, which happens in the verses. So let me see, where is this being bussed to? Okay, cool, yeah. So it's being bussed to the same Mustang, right? So, and the reason because we do that is, it's actually using the same setting on the amp. Okay, so one was with the overdrive, and the other one was with the clean channel. So, right, since it's the same guitar with virtually going to the same amp, the same mics and everything, it just makes sense to keep it simple. Let's just bus it and group it into the same group. Okay, let's plunk in, as usual, the tape and console emulation stuff. Alright. These clean guitars, okay, they're not 100% clean. They have, it's got a little bit of dirt in it lah. Okay, let's chuck all these stuff in there. And I think if you play back, right, during the when I was before the pre-roll, before we actually started the stream, you can hear there's actually some other stuff that we experimented as well. So let's check it out, okay? Okay, and that stuff that we were playing about is in the DI track, okay? So this is where recording with a DI is usually useful. So this one, I have taken one of the DI tracks of that clean channel and run it through, right, the THU, the overloud. And let's explore what did I have in here, right? This is, here we go. So this is a setting which, right, is going through an emulation of a Fender Bassman with compressor and with a tremolo. So let me solo that for you guys to listen, okay? All right, so you can hear what that sounds like. Where is it? Okay, here we go. There it is. So I took the DI track, one was going to the amp, so this one I ran it to the VST, right? So without the tremolo. Right, that's, you can hear that is the classic single coil sound, man, and it's coming from a Fender Mustang. So with the tremolo pedal, and in context, okay, all right, let me check this out. Did I do the same thing here? Yeah, so it's exactly the same thing, okay? And what I've done with these two is I've panned it to the right because I wanted to keep the trem to one side. It's a little bit more interesting than keeping trem at both lah. Well, let's mess around. Let's see what happens, okay? Okay, right. So now the thing is that with the okay, maybe that's why. Let me check the routing, okay? Let's make sure that it's being bussed correctly first of all. Yeah, okay, it should be now. Let's listen to it. There you go, right? Now you can hear the tremolo a little bit more clearer lah, right? Let me try and turn this over to the left and see what happens. Alright, okay, so there is a reason why I pan this to the right. Because if I were to put both tremolos on both sides, it kind of overwhelms the clean guitar, right? So I just want the tremolo to be there just to have a little bit of bite, okay? Oh, very interesting thing, which I also have forgotten. Okay, let's take a look at this clip here, right? So this DI track, I've actually transposed it up an octave. So this is how it sounds actually, okay? All right. So cool, sounds like a 12 string, okay? So that is, again, now revisiting back the tracking session, which was back in the November, December, a couple of months already. I might have forgotten some of this stuff lah. It's really cool to revisit back again some of the experimentations that we were playing around when we were recording the track. So okay, so this tremolo will gonna be on this side, on the right hand side, and let's check it out, okay? Okay, right. So now, set and don't forget again, I won't hesitate to jump back and forth between different elements, because now what I feel is that, and very often in the case with rock stuff, is that very often once you have all your guitars and all your other elements in, sometimes the drums will get a little bit buried behind there. And this is where, again, drum sample and sample replacement is actually really, really handy lah. So again, this is to enhance it. We're not here to replace the drum sound, okay? So I'm just going to bring in a little bit of the kick just underneath, just to give a bit more bite to and more attack to the kick. So let's just listen to it, okay? Let me EQ this. Okay, let's mute without the kick sample. Just a little bit of EQ at 3.8 for the kick. And now let's bring in the snare sample. Again, just blending it underneath, okay? We're definitely trying to keep and maintain as raw as possible. This is just to enhance it. There we go. There we go. Yeah, let's check out the VP, which is the Vinnie Paul snare. This would give a little bit more body, I think. Okay, let's back off on the clean a tiny touch, maybe just about 1 dB, all right, overall. Okay, because again, we will see how it sounds with the vocal. And all right, sweet. Okay, now let's check out now the second guitar here. Let's see how it sounds, all right? Okay, right, now it makes a little bit more sense now. All right, once that I brought this second guitar in, I will probably again I need to back down on the Mustang guitars lah. So let me just turn this down maybe about 2 dB, because this is meant to all kind of blend together. You see, okay. Let's play it again. Okay, cool. All right, so let's start with this. All right, let's do the same thing. Tape and console emulation on the, all right, this is a Jazz Master if I'm not mistaken, okay? Okay, now this one will need a little bit more processing and a little bit more work on this guy, okay? So what are we going to do? Okay, TDR Nova will definitely come in handy. Let's do that first. Okay, let's try and shape this a little bit. Tokyo Dawn Labs, TDR Nova. Okay, right, there's some unwanted. Let's bypass that first. Okay, right, okay, now I hear it. Just a moment. At about 750, okay, that frequency isn't really contributing towards the guitar tone, so that's where we can sort of eliminate lah. Okay, fast attack, release fairly medium. Okay. Okay, now, so let's bring out a little bit more of the notes, right, from the jazz master guitar. And what I would love to use, because it's kind of like playing lead lines here, I'm going to try and use Waves MV2, right? MV2, one of my favorite processors, man. So this will help to, hopefully, will help to bring out the, right, the detail of the notes. So let's check it out. Let's go again. Bypass. Could probably go a little bit more on the high pass filter. About 1K or so, it's got a little bit of that same kind of annoying ring. So let's get rid of that. Okay, right. So what will kind of help give it a little bit more separation is, I think it's going to be a little bit of reverb. So let's go with a simple plate reverb, and that will be with Sound Toys. Let's check it out. Okay, just give it a little bit of that space lah. Let it sit in its own space. Okay. Right, a shorter decay. Okay, CPU is running a little hot. I am wondering, I don't know whether my PC actually needs a bit of servicing and cleaning or not. Because after a year of doing this already, I remember last time there was once when I was doing like the second or third episode of MixStream, where I kept crashing, right? The PC kept crashing. It was because it was time to clean the ventilation fans lah. Could be time lah. It could be a year lah already lah. Okay, all right. So I hope we don't crash. Okay, all right. Fingers crossed. Okay, let me check out. Am I running anything unnecessary? Okay, it is quite strenuous because I am running, you know, the streaming and also mixing at the same time. So let's hopefully it doesn't touch. Right, fingers crossed, guys. Okay, but if it does, don't go away. Okay, I will need to make a quick restart and then jump back on the stream. I hope it doesn't happen. Okay, let's check that Jazz Master guitar again. All right, okay. I am getting a little concerned because I'm wondering why is my CPU consumption so high? Whilst, you know, let me just get out and exit some of this stuff, okay? Which may be running in the background. Let me just quit my Dropbox and all that. Okay, paranoid. Okay, I don't want this to crash halfway, okay? Okay, where are we right now? And okay, well, good. Okay, I think what will help is let me disable also some of let me disable these, okay? Because I'm not using this. Right, not using this. Let's disable that. That could be what's taking up all the CPU power. Plus, I'm not using it anyway. Let's turn this off. Let's get rid of that. And where are we? Do we have some more of these going on? Yeah, okay, maybe that's why I've got so many of these running in the background. Okay, right. disable first. Okay, let me disable all of these guys first. These, because these are being used on the other songs, not on this one. Okay, let me get out of all that. And I hope we're good. I hope we're good. Hopefully. Hopefully. All right. So let's check it out again. There you go. Okay, cool. That sounds better, I hope. Okay. So now on the Jazz Master, right, again, I recorded a DI. Let's check out what was this. So this is more of a clean, right? So, okay, this is very useful. This is going to come in very, very handy because what's going to happen is that the clean is going to help with the note definition. Okay, so let's check it out. All right. And here we go. There we go, right? So what I did, right, if you notice, was I was flipping the polarity to see which one was more in phase, because again, when I'm running through all this different processing, there is a little bit of time delay. So flipping this, right, made everything a little bit more solid, okay? Here we go. Let's try that again. Okay, cool. Now back again to the drums. I'm jumping back again. So now again with all the bass and all the guitars, right? It feels like I may need to back off on the attack on the drum compressor. Okay, so again, set in, don't forget, okay? You set something, but don't forget if it has an effect later on downstream. So I'm just going to back off the attack, maybe just give it a little bit slower, right? So I'm going to let the transient of the snare and the kick come through a little bit more. Super cool, all right? Okay, so I'm trying noticing. Let me just take a listen, right? Because the Mustang, right, which also. Okay, right. Okay, I'm trying to listen which guitar was doing the. There's one jang going on. Could it be the clean? Ah, I see. So it's coming from this clean guitar. Okay, so let's bring this in. Okay, so this is just like nice. It's a nice little strum here, actually. Okay, right. So let's try to bring that out because that really adds a little bit of interest to it. Okay, let's do the same thing with the 160 track. Let's take a listen to how it sounds. Cool, very cool, very cool. Let's plunk this a bit to the right, I suppose. Maybe that will help it to cut out better. And okay, it needs to go to the left, right? Because I have the tremolo coming out from the right. So let's have this coming out from the left lah. There you go. Okay, yeah, it is definitely much more interesting once it is coming out from the left-hand side lah. Could we use a clean guitar here? I think it could be useful. So, right, so this is the jazz clean, the DI track. Let's do the same thing. Let's plunk in just a simple clean guitar preset, okay? Jangly, foxy rhythm. This is like an AC30, I suppose. Solo and C. And where is it? There we go. Let me set the mark. Okay, yeah, so this one gives a bit more. Very cool, okay? Okay, let's compare and see which one sounds better, right? Polarity flipped or without? So this is without, this is original. It's okay, flip. Interesting. Here you get a little bit more of a slightly out of phase sound, which, again, the only way to solve this is to listen to it in context lah. Okay, listen to it in context. I said in context. Okay, that means let's unsolo these. Okay, back to original without the polarity flip. So one's a little bit fatter, one is a little bit slightly out of phase sound. It's like on a Strat when you move to your position 2 and position 4. But I feel it helps it to cut through though, because you know it takes out a little bit of the low mid mud, right? It cancels out of some of it. So I guess, right, it sounds better this way, right? To have the DI track polarity flipped inverted from the mic tracks. So again, goes to show you have to experiment, you try, flip the phase around, see which one works better, sounds better. So in this case, right, flipping it is the technically wrong thing to do, okay, because you are causing it to phase cancel. But in context for the mix, it's the right thing and appropriate thing because it actually helps that guitar to actually cut through a little bit better lah, right? It takes away some of the mud. Cool. All right. And that, if I'm not mistaken, that's pretty much all the instruments for the track. Well, super simple, man. Right? It's awesome with working with bands like this. So let me just listen to the music for a second. Okay, very cool. Now, right, so that's pretty much the music. Time to jump straight into the vocals. Right, the part that we are all waiting for. Okay, let's deal with the lead vocal first of all. Okay, now I will have to lie a little bit when I say that I've not used any processing just now. There is a little bit, because in recording I always want to put things in context really, so I already have this. Let me just very quickly show you what I am doing. Actually, let me load the preset first, okay? And here we go. Hey guys, wherever you're watching this, is it raining wherever you're looking from? Because I think I hear rain, very heavy rain outside the studio. Right? Usually, if it's raining lightly, I can't hear it. But again, I could be wrong. Could be my imagination. Anyway, all right, let's not be distracted by that. Okay, let's go with vocals. Here we go.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be.
Okay, very cool. All right. Lovely. I love this performance by Ductoid, man. Okay, so first things first, let me just show you TDR Nova once again, the best friend, okay, that we can have. Let's take out some of the bottom end.
Just you and me.
Let me actually turn off all these effects first so that we don't get distracted by all of that. Okay, let's bypass. Okay, bypass, and let's
look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
okay. So again, I don't think there's not much needs to be done here, right? This one, TDR Nova, I just want to use it to take out a little bit of bite at the vocal, especially during the high notes.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find.
Okay, why? Now, if you're listening on this on headphones, I apologize, right? That would probably be quite piercing, okay? So this is about 4.5 kilohertz, right? Let me set it to a ratio of 3, fastest attack, fastest release, because I want it to react fast. I also want it to let go, right? Very quickly once that ringing frequency is not there. So here we go.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me.
Excellent. Okay, so now as I let me just show you very quickly. Okay, there is the tape emulation once again, but one little thing that's a little bit different here is that, okay, instead of the let me set this again to the 4000. Okay, let's go with SSL 4000. So instead of the Neve 1073, I have the Hollywood Virtual Tube collection instead. Okay, so instead of a solid state preamp, the vocal is kind of going through a tube preamp emulation. And not only that, right, the one I have here, this is the FG Stress, which is the model of the Empirical Labs Distressor. What I have set on this is a parallel compression setting lah. Okay, so basically, right, parallel compression is where you have an uncompressed signal along with a compressed signal, usually very heavily squashed and compressed, and you blend the two together. Benefits of parallel compression is that, right, you maintain, it's what we call very transparent, it's very invisible, because you have the you have the solidness, you have the solidity, you have the fatness of the compressed signal, but you still have the natural dynamics from the uncompressed one. So you mix both of them, you get very natural sounding compression. Right, so this is what we're going for. Okay,
Close your eyes and think of me.
Let's check out some of the other.
Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper.
Okay, so this one, right, the distressor has these buttons which actually add a little bit of harmonic saturation inside it. I think let's go with 3. 3 is a little bit more aggressive sounding, right? Well, sometimes with some vocals it's not really suitable. But again, here let's make it a little bit more raw. Let's make it a little bit more aggressive sounding, lah. Okay, here we go. Back to the vocal again. And how do I unsolo this? That means something is soloed. So let's get out of there. Okay, here we go.
Then you'll find. Close your eyes and think of me.
Sweet. Okay, let's put in sibilance. Okay, so sibilance is the next thing that I have.
Close your eyes and try to see what could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you were meant to be. You're my everything.
Nice. Okay. Okay, next thing I have is R comp. So what this is going to do is just catch the peak, just a tiny bit of it.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me.
Okay, this is not doing any more than 1 dB. That's all, just 1 dB of gain reduction, right? So this is now going into the lead vocal group. Okay, now let me show you what I have on the lead vocal group. It looks like I've got some stuff which I was playing around with. Wonder what I was doing. Okay, these are turned off, right? Because I don't want these guys to be taking up CPU power. Now again, this session was a couple of months back already, so I'm trying to recall my memory. Maybe this was being used for another song, but I'm just gonna leave it there, because it's not gonna affect us. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is I will run it through the 1176, right? And fastest attack, fastest release. I may slow down the attack, but again, depends. Okay, so let's go.
Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
Let's make the attack a little faster. Okay.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find.
Okay, very nice. Okay, now let's bring up a little bit of the mids. Let's see which frequency would work best. Let's start with 3K first. Okay, want to shave off a little bit of top end. Okay, we don't want it to be too hi-fi sounding.
Close your eyes and try to see what could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
Okay, alright, okay. Now, with this, I'm gonna kind of mix the vocal a little bit further back than what I would do with a more pop rock or more, contemporary kind of style. I kind of want to let the vocal sit a little bit further at the back. We'll just see how it goes first, okay? Set, and don't forget, once again, okay?
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what.
Okay, so there is a second de-esser here, right? Because now, after all the compression, it will sometimes bring out, all these the S's and some of the transients, the consonants. out a little bit more. So having a second de-esser after the compressor, right, does really help a lot as well. Okay, let me turn off all of the Jazzmaster guitars first. Okay.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be.
Right, cool. Now, MV2 again, right? So MV2 is really cool, but okay, before MV2, let's go over to Vocal Rider. Remember, I had Bass Rider. Bass Rider was there to deal and tackle with the bass frequencies. Vocal Rider here, all right, same concept, same idea behind the plugin, but this is tuned right towards applications with vocals. So let's go. This will be a very gentle setting, smooth ride. Let's expand the range to 6 dB, and let's find the target value, okay?
Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
One thing interesting is that I actually kind of like it without Vocal Rider. So you know what? Let's turn it off, because I feel that this is kind of just pinning the vocal down a little bit too much. So let's disengage this. Let's go without this first, okay? Back to MV2. I'm going to use this to sort of bring out some of the low-level detail. Maybe when Dr. sings a little bit softer, right? I want those parts to come out a little bit more. So let's solo the vocal again.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be.
Yeah, okay. I think MV2 does a much better job, okay? Instead of a Vocal Rider. Vocal Rider, even though it's meant to be very smooth and transparent, but it kind of makes it too even, right? So anyway, let's move on, okay? So we got this down. Let's run in and plunk in a little bit of vocal effects, okay? Just to put it, I will want to add Super Tap. Super Tap is actually a delay, but it's set so that you only get a single reflection, and I'm trying to emulate the sound of a room, okay?
Close your eyes and think of me.
Let me exaggerate a little bit so you can hear how it sounds.
Close your eyes and try to see
This is obviously too much, right? This is we dial it back down, so it's just there.
what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find.
There we go. Next thing would be a mono delay, okay?
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me.
Let's put a bit of ducking, so at about 10 dB, minus 10.
Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
Let's give it a bit of grit. Let's see.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be.
Okay, right, cool. I like it, right? Just a little bit mix of the distortion on the vocal delay, just to give it, again, a bit of grit, a little bit of distortion, right? A bit of low fineness.
You're my everything. Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see
let's go over to, let me change the frequency a little bit. Let's go to 5K.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we
It's 8K.
could be. Just you
5K.
and me. Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
Okay, very cool. So let's blend in first of all the double vocal. So this is actually a doubled vocal here. Let's solo it for a second.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try
Okay, right. Let me EQ this.
to see what we could be.
At about 890 or better honkiness there.
Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine.
4.5K, right? So it's same region, you see.
Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant.
Oh, maybe that's what's causing all that. Let's get rid of all the waves tune because I had that during the tracking session, you see. So let's blend in this double.
Think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
Okay, let's listen one more time.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me.
Okay, let's go over to these double vocals as well. So these double vocals are happening in the chorus. So let's check it out. Right.
Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
Chorus.
Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one. We go in dreams. We go in dreams. Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one.
All right. Okay. So here we go. Now what I want to do now is I want to give a little bit dynamics to the vocal. Right. So what I'm going to do is when it kicks into the chorus, instead of a mono delay, we're going to introduce a stereo delay. This is going to make the vocal a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, a little bit more interesting dynamically. So this is a very common trick. So in the verses, the effects are all mono. You have a mono delay down the center, a little bit of reverb, okay? Of course, with the room reverb. And then when the chorus kicks in, instruments get bigger, everything gets bigger, right? The vocal also wants to get a little bit bigger as well. So let me just automate this first.
Then you'll find we're meant to be. You're my everything.
Wait, get into the chorus.
Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one.
Okay, cool, right? So there we go. Let's put a bit of ducking as well. Okay, let me change the delay here. So what I want to do is that I will switch this over to a dotted quarter. Let's unlink the feedback, turn the offset to 0. And now I'm going to have to increase the feedback for the left channel, right? The reason is because the delay times are different. And with the slower, longer delay time, it naturally will end later. So I have to increase the feedback for the left channel, which is the shorter delay time, so they will both kind of bounce right together, left, right, lah, okay? Not exactly a ping pong, but something like that. Otherwise, the delay kind of leans heavy to one side, so that's what I'm doing here. Yep, yeah, so you can hear it. And it's a little bit more complex than just a basic ping pong, okay? Right, so here we go.
Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one. Your breath and mine.
Okay, right. So I think I know why now. So now the Jazzmaster guitar will need to be turned down a little bit. Okay. So what do we need to do? Let's turn this down. Let's turn the whole group down because the sound is fine. It's just that I need to turn it back down.
We're made to one.
So when it gets to the verse, let me automate it.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything. Your breath and mine were made to one.
Okay.
No sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one.
Okay, so every time the jazz guitar, right, goes back to the line do 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 do, let's automate it back up, and then when the vocals kick in, right, that has to automate back down lah. Otherwise, there's no way. Right? We need to make space for everything, you know.
Your breath.
Okay, so back down again here when the vocals kick in. Right. So a lot of these moves now, especially all these automation moves, are actually going to be very broad strokes, right? As I explain it, because a lot of the fine tuning details are going to come later. Okay. So let's move on first.
If you were gone, we're made to one.
Okay, cool. So back again when this is kicking back in. So this should be exactly the same behavior across the two verses. So maybe we could, let's try and see. Right? All we need to do is just copy this. Okay, let's find the same marking spot, beat 4, and
Push those angry feelings aside.
there we go. Interesting. Okay, cool. Oh, it turns out that there's one little extra chord here, right? So I think, okay, we are going to have to give it the same treatment. Just give me a second. All right, let me load up the same thing. Drums. And it does not need this, right? No, it doesn't need the DI. So let's turn all these DIs down. Let's load this in. Even though it's just like a few chords there, but you know, let's keep it consistent lah. Right? Let's keep all of the parts consistent. So this is doing, what chord is this doing? Let's check it out. Yeah, so it's a higher. Yeah, you can hear that it's actually doing a higher note. Da, 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 da. Check it out. Da, 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 da. There you go. Just to give that last chord a little bit more punch, a little bit more drive. Right? Super, super, super cool. Okay. All right. Let's go to the gang vocals now. Now, this is really a highlight and a characteristic of all of MUCK songs. It has the sing along, right, element of this. So let's check it out. Let's go over to the first one, right, and. All right.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we
Okay, I'll clean all this up later, but let's check out the gang vocal.
could be. Just you and me.
Right, sweet, awesome. Right, these are all of the band members, along with the along with the family members as well. Okay, so let's just look at one track.
What we could be.
Okay, let's roll off the bottom end.
Just you and me.
Okay, some of the frequencies let's deal with that. Okay,
What we could be. Just you and me.
about 3.4. Right, it's a bit cumulative, right, with everyone's voices. So let's EQ that out. Take out some of the high end. We don't need anything above 10K. Let's keep cycling that.
What we could be. Just you and me.
This 890 pokes out as well. Okay,
What we could be. Just you and me. What we could be. Just you and me. What we could be.
okay, just a little bit at 2K. Okay, this one is a bit narrower.
Just you and me.
Okay, cool. So we've got that down, and I think I will. Let's put on the same parameters for this lah, right? Again, switch to the 4000G, and let's copy this over. All of the gang vocal tracks are going to have the same treatment. Okay, super, super simple. So this is gang voc 1. Eh? Are we doing the correct thing? Yes, okay, we are. Okay, let's go with pull it over to gang voc 2. Let's unsolo all these. 3, 4. How many are there? Okay, right. So this one, there's 4. Okay, let's keep 4 first. Some of the other songs actually use more tracks, but this one just uses 4. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, track 1, 2, 3, 4. Link the channels, and let's see. Right.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my
Okay, cool. Let's deal with this a little bit more. Okay, a little bit of compression.
what we could be. Just you and me.
Okay, alright. Here is where TDR Nova will come in handy again. Okay, let's do that.
What we could be.
So a little bit of build up.
Just you and me.
660, right? I suspect.
What we could be. Just
Yeah, around that. So again, that 660 hertz, definitely it's part and parcel of what's happening going on in the room lah. So let's go with a same thing, something mild.
you and me.
Let's go.
What we could be.
Okay, some of this.
Just
Okay, about 5K, right? Again, sometimes when you have many voices and all of them are singing around the same register, some of those frequencies will tend to build up. So that's why I'm trying to tame down a little bit lah.
What we could be, just you and me.
Okay, let's compare without bypass.
What we could be,
Okay, so especially when you hit the word B,
what we could be.
okay, it tames it a little bit lah, alright, soothes it a little slightly.
What we could be, just you and me.
Okay, let's bring this up.
What we could be, just you and me.
Cool, alright, okay. Now, what I want to do now is I want to very quickly switch over to a different pair of speakers. So what I've been listening to right now have been my main 8-inch LP Kali LP8s, which are the large, the full frequency speakers. But it gets to a point around this time midway when I'm working with the vocals where I want to switch to a smaller and alternate pair of speakers. In this case, right, these are the Yamaha NS10s which I have. So let me just switch it on over there. I have to switch on the power amp as well, okay? Right. Thanks guys for sticking around all this while. What are we coming up to now? Oh, 11:45. It's pretty good. Pretty okay. Now if you tune into some of my other episodes, you see that, right, typically each live stream, right, goes up to like 3-4 hours. So now we are kind of going about 2 hours. That's pretty good, okay? Alright, so let me turn on my speakers. Let me turn the power amp for the NS10s, because the NS10s are passive speakers, so they need a separate power amplifier, which is actually underneath lah, below my table, okay? Okay, I'm gonna turn off. So this is gonna help because it'll give me a totally different perspective. I've been listening to the big speakers for a while, so when you listen to a particular sound, the same speakers are for an extended period of time, you get a little bit fatigued, okay? You get a little bit of fatigue, so switching to a different pair of speakers will give a different perspective. Alright, so let's listen. Grab a drink first. Let me just listen, eh?
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything. Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one. Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one. Push those angry feelings aside. Put on your happy thoughts for a while. I will be right here. Won't you ever feel? Let my hand.
Okay, very cool, okay? Now, a couple of things maybe I want to jump ahead. Okay, I want to go and tweak a little bit with the stereo bus first of all. Now, once again, as I said, I have other videos, okay, on my YouTube channel, which really explains in detail what I have on my master bus, my project template and all that. But what I'm going to do here now is, at this point in time where I've got everything, I just want to tweak around with the master bus a little bit. So, I have Wave C4. Okay, actually maybe the first thing I have is the AUC's Air EQ. This is just going to give a little bit of an air boost here, okay? Just a tiny touch, like around 1 dB, that's all. I have this. This is Waves C4 stereo. Same again, the same multi-band compressor that I used on the bass earlier. But this one, right, is just going. What this does is that it's just going to make sure that no particular frequency band jumps out too much. Okay, so if I play back, right, you'll notice, right, that I just want the gain reduction, the meter there, the line there, to just dance very slightly. So let me back it up. Very tiny. That's it. Right. We're probably looking at what, half dB.
Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense. If you were gone, your breath and mine were made to one.
Now, actually, let's listen to it without. Okay?
Let us see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine.
Interesting.
Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be.
You know, I actually kind of prefer it without. You know, so again, with experiments, sometimes you realize that, hey, you know, it sounds better without. So let's take it out, okay? Let's remove it, okay? Now, next thing I will have will be virtual bus compressors. So these are a couple of bus compressors which I've put in series. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have each of them compress a little bit.
Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine. What we could be. Just you and me. What we could be. Just you and me. Inside his heart. What we could be. Just you and me. Look inside his heart of mine.
Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna add two more stuff here, two more things down here. One that I've been using a lot. This is the SPL Iron. Okay, this is actually a mastering compressor, but what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna set it into an MS, okay, processing. Let me disable the parameter link. So MS here stands for mid-side. So traditionally, when you process anything, we process it as stereo, a left-right channel. But you can also apply, right, with some plugins or with some clever processing, MS, which means for mid and side. So you have the mid information and the side information being processed as two different channels. So this is very, very powerful because, right, it really gives it opens up a whole new world, a whole new door towards processing. Okay, so this is very subtle. What this does, I just add this in, and again, it's going to be barely touching the needles, right? Barely moving. What this does is it's going to widen the stereo image a little bit. It just separates things a little bit better. Okay. What I like about it also, it's got this little tone control here that you can just set to an air bass. Air bass here meaning that it's like a smiley, you know, air and the bass frequency, kind of a frequency curve. But it also has got this tape roll off, which I sometimes like, really, really nice. So maybe let's compare and see which one would sound better.
Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me.
Yeah, I think the tape roll off again helps to you know, warm up the sound a little bit. You know. Okay, one more thing to add is, you know, something which I've learned from a mastering engineer, just to plunk in the UAD API 560. And that's all. The signal is just going to go through it. No EQ whatsoever, right? The circuitry just adds a little bit, makes things slightly more solid, okay? What else do we have? Actually, only two more things, right? The BVs that are happening in the chorus, the call and response. This is not actually BV. This is the, you know, the actual hook of the song, right? Pretty girl in jeans.
Pretty girls in jeans.
Okay, very cool, right? So let's chuck this into, right, because this is actually a line that was sung by Doctor himself. So let's chuck it into this part. So because, right, same processing, so why not? Okay, why waste a different channel, right? Okay, in the nowadays, in the days of with digital and the so-called unlimited channel thing, um, it still helps to organize your workflow in such a way so that you don't need all of these right tracks to be in the whole separate channel. You see, right? If it's the same sound, same vocalist, just drop it into the same, drop it into the same channel here. Sorry, so let's check it out. Nice. Okay, let's do the same thing. Let's copy all of this over up here first. Whoops, I just did something. What did I do? Oh, I accidentally moved the value for the BV group down. Crossfade these two, make sure they're nicely. Okay, I'll do that later. Okay, let me just check all this up here. Pretty good in jeans. Okay. Now, the one that's holding the main vocal would the main melody would be more of the female voice. So let's go and check that out instead. Okay, here we go.
It makes no sense if you are gone. Your present mind will make to one.
Okay, here we go. So this is being bussed to where? It's also being bussed to the gang vocal, is it? Okay, maybe not. I think let's drop this over to the BV bus instead, because I don't want it to make it too wet, because the gang vocals has got the reverb in it, but let's have this one a little drier lah, okay, right, so that we can have a little bit more definitions to it. So same vocal processing with the parallel processor on the vocal. So let's just EQ it a little bit.
Pretty girls in jeans.
It is actually a group, but okay, never mind. Let's deal with it first.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
Okay, there we go. Let's get rid of that. Take away some of the top end.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
Okay, this is about 850.
Pretty girls in jeans.
Let's check out.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
Okay, let's take this and let's copy it over to all the 4 tracks here. So when it gets to the word pretty girls in jeans, okay, this one hard left, hard right. This one will be 50-50. So we have 4 tracks of these. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, nice, excellent. So should these go over to another BV track? Okay, yes, let's do that lah. Let's plunk them over to a different BV track so they will have their own processing. I want this one to be a little bit drier.
It makes no sense if you are gone. Your present mind will make to one. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in.
Alright, okay, so now time to apply a little bit of processing for the group BVs. So let's start with TDR Nova first. Again, when all these vocals are stacking, you get those frequencies. Yeah, so they all kind of had that energy accumulating about 3.8K. So let's use TDR Nova ratio 3. Right, 3 to 1. Oh, 3 to 1. Fastest attack, fastest release. Actually, let's have the release a little bit longer. Because sometimes the vocals are not turned, I sing, especially their gang vocals. So 100 milliseconds, I suppose. And then we put the threshold.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
That helps to clean it up. Let's widen the queue a little bit.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
Okay, now a bit of honkiness.
Pretty girls in jeans.
At about 800, 900, 910. There's that honkiness there. So this one is much narrower.
Jeans. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
Okay, now we have the FG2A. This is right Slate Digital's version of the LA2A.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
Okay. Yeah, so with this one, again, yeah, I think it helps to be a little bit clearer because this is the hook, you see, right? A little cleaner, a little drier.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls in jeans.
1.8, there's 1.9 something there.
Pretty girls in jeans. Pretty girls.
Just add a bit of reverb on the gang vocal. Let's turn it down here a little bit.
Push those angry feelings aside. Put on your happy thoughts for a ride. I will be right here. Won't you ever
Okay, right. Set and don't forget, we need to bring... now we feel that the overheads need to come back a little bit.
feel? Wrap my hand around your shoulder. Rest your hand, you'll feel better. We'll be free, just you and me. Your breath and mine will make you one. It makes no sense if you were gone.
Alright, cool. Now, I'm actually kind of pretty happy and pretty satisfied with kind of where we are going, you know. This is what I'm showing you guys here. These are all mostly the broad strokes of the mix. Now, very often, right, as I said, you know, we get ear fatigue. Definitely, when you're listening to the same song, the same sound over and over again for a couple of hours, your ears definitely get tired. It helps to switch to different speakers, which I've done right now. So it really gives a different perspective. But very often, right, it's usually you need to take frequent ear breaks at a time. So usually when I get to this point, this is where I usually will take a break, right? I usually come back and then do a lot of the other fine tuning stuff. But this, I would kind of consider maybe about 80-85% of the way there already. Now, I'm not going to show you all the fine tuning stuff because if I were to do that, look, this live stream is going to end, and it's going to end until next morning, okay? Right? Because usually, typically, right, when almost any mix engineer sits down to mix a song, it would take somewhere between 5-6 hours, right, in total. And then if you include taking breaks and all that, right, to refresh your ears, sometimes even longer. So at this point, right, the foundation, right, you know, the rhythm section, the drums, the bass, the main guitars, the main vocal, pretty much is there. You know, it's just maybe fine tuning and tweaking here and there, some automation, which I'll show you some of the other automation tricks and sort of tips which I will usually do with every mix. I'll show you in a little while, okay? But usually at this stage, I would actually take a break, right? Either I will come back a couple of hours later, maybe work on some other stuff, or sometimes if the time and budget allows it, you know, I'll come back the following day to continue and work on it with fresh ears, you see, okay? So Okay, now I mentioned just now that I'm going to show you a couple of things. Here's one thing that I will do. Now, very typically, again, we talk about mixing, we talk about wanting to build dynamics, okay? So, very often you can build dynamics in many ways. You can, one thing, turn things louder, lah. Okay, that's one way of building dynamics. You can, in the arrangement, in music arrangement, you want to build dynamics, you can add parts, you can layer parts, add a high guitar part, add harmonies. That's why you see the verses, are a little bit more sparse, a little bit more less instruments, less vocal parts. Then when you chorus kicks in, boom, you see it becomes wider, more guitar parts, more harmonies, more vocals. That's where we build dynamics as well. But one thing that sometimes we kind of forget is that because we add all these other instruments, the vocals, backing vocals, additional guitars, double vocal layers and all that, we forget about the bottom end, the bass, the low end as well. So let's not forget and neglect the bass. So what I do here with the bass, right, I'll just show you, is super simple. All I do is that, right, during the choruses, when the chorus kicks in, I just activate and engage a low shelf EQ, right, at about 100 Hertz. I'll show you here, this one, with a boost of just 1 dB. Very gentle, right? So it lifts and it just brings the bottom end up a little bit. Because sometimes when you are adding all this stuff, we want to build dynamics, right? We forget about the bottom end. So this is what I'm going to do, okay? So every time the chorus kicks in, right, I'm going to bump up the low end just by 1 dB. So it makes everything not only upwise vertically, right, but vertically downwards as well. It goes bigger, fatter. Okay, let's engage automation. Ready? Okay, so after the tan 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 tan, after drum roll, that should where the bass kicks in. Your breath and mine were made to one. It makes no sense if you were gone. Okay, right where the bass kicks in, right, the downbeat. Your breath and mine were made. Okay, and then this will come out of. To the verse, verse, we disengage the EQ, right? Simple. So when it kicks into the chorus again, we do the same thing. Right here, there we go. There we go. Super simple, right? Just a simple move. Just have a low shelf on the bottom end of the bass just to bring it up, okay? Now, one last thing I want to show you in terms of the automation trick is again a very simple thing. This is, I'm going to go to the stereo D master fader, okay? Technically, it's technically usually it's the master fader, but the way that I've set it up in my template, I'm going to use this as my master fader, okay? So let's write the automation. What we're going to do is that every time the chorus kicks in, we're going to bump this master fader, the stereo fader, up by 1 dB. Again, super subtle moves, right? To make it seem like the chorus has gotten bigger without actually making it obvious that someone has turned the volume, right? So 1 dB I find is a good value to go. So let's just do that right away, okay? So clicking into the chorus, here we go. Ready? Show you here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right now. There we go. You might not have noticed it, but here, right? I bumped up this fader by just 1 dB. So let's just fine tune this move. So it's 1 bar, and during this 1 bar, it ramps up 1 dB. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to that again. Super subtle, but very effective.
If you
Okay, and then coming out of the chorus. 2, 3, 4, back down. Okay, so let's do it. So it'll be the same lah, the reverse. There we go. Alright. Pushing this down. Back to 0 on the master. And you can probably guess it. Same thing in the next chorus, okay? Here it goes. Okay, where's the chorus? Okay, there we go. Okay, dan dan dan. So it's kicking in here. And there we go. So very subtle move that you can always try when you are mixing as well, okay? If you find that, you know, that the chorus is not getting enough lift, something as subtle as these two things that I've shown you, right? Do a bit of automation on the bottom end on the bass, right? Just to lift the bottom end a little bit more. And do a bit of volume automation on the master fader. These are two simple tricks, okay? Right, that you can also apply on almost any mix or any production that you do out there, just to give a little bit of dynamics and the lift to the chorus lah. Okay, sweet. I guess this is pretty much it for, you know, like I said, this is at this stage, this is going to be the first draft of the initial draft of where I have you know, laid out what the rhythm section should be, the vocals, the main stuff. And usually what I'll do, again, I said, I'll take a little bit of a break. Either I come back later, a couple of hours on the next day to following morning to come and continue fine-tuning all the different stuff. But I'm pretty happy with the way it sounds, okay? Right? I like it, right? So after this, usually once the mix is done, I'm gonna be sitting down with the band, right? And the process usually goes like this, okay? We usually have the band in, and then we will sit down and do what we call a listening session. So a listening session is where everyone comes in, all right? And then we listen to the mix, we listen to the track, and then everyone gives their comments, their feedbacks. What would they like? You know, maybe there's something that they want to change, maybe they want to tweak here and there or whatsoever. And then we do it there and then, okay? So this process will go on back and forth, maybe, hopefully only that one time, right? But sometimes, right, they may be, depending on the band, depending on what they want, depending on, you know, depending on how fussy the bands are, right? Sometimes it will be a back and forth of a couple of times, okay? Right? But with technology, sometimes now it's really awesome. Even with mixed listening sessions, I can do it remotely nowadays, right? These are all the things that the pandemic has taught us lah, to take advantage of all the technological advancements. I even done mixed listening sessions with clients all the way in Philippines, and the furthest one I ever did was all the way in Egypt, right? So that was cool, right? It was for an artist which I produced and I mixed, right? Anyway, cool. So before we end, we will take a listen to all of this, okay? But let me just sort of sign off again, right, with a couple of parting words. I really thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching this episode of MixStream. This is MixStream episode 23. Once again, all right, I do this because I want to showcase some of the local music that we are working in, and right, I want to extend my thanks to Duck Toy and the rest of the band, okay, Mio and all of them, right. Thanks for featuring, letting me feature this song on this episode of MixStream, right? Hopefully that when you are watching this, you have learned something. But not only that, most importantly, I think the lesson that I want you to take back is that, hey, there's a lot of work that goes into the creation of your favorite songs that you listen out there. Be it you're an indie band or even a mainstream artist, a singer or whatsoever. There's actually a lot of work involved, not only by the performers themselves, but all the people behind the scenes. You have your engineers, you have your producers, you have different people, you have musicians. So there are a lot of people that work and put a lot of hard work behind the scenes. A lot of man hours goes behind the creation of content. So, right, hopefully, looking and watching, looking at the the mixing process which I've walked you guys through. hopefully, it gives you a little bit of sense of appreciation for, the work and the effort and the time that, how our local artists and musicians put into their records and their work. Okay. So, because of that, we should definitely support them. Okay, right? So, now that live music is back again, I hope you guys go out there, support all the gigs as much as possible. But always remember to stay safe, take care of everything. Your personal hygiene is very important. Your health, your immunity, right? Taking care of your diet, exercise, and all that is really, really important. Right? Social distancing, wearing masks, all that. Okay, I don't need to say all that. Repeat lah. Okay. But if you want to help to support, there's so many ways of doing it. But one of it also, right, is that if you want to, you can also sign up to become a patron, right, with the Studio 2105 and my YouTube channel. Okay. So again, the links are up there in the text that you can see, right? www.patreon.com/studio2105. Just take a visit, okay? Just look at the Patreon page and see all the different perks and benefits that are to offer, and see if there's anything that interests you, okay? There are lots of other stuff, right? Won't waste time explaining it. Go ahead and check it out, okay? What you will do if you sign up to become a patron is that 50% of that revenue is going to go to the featured artists. In this case, in this episode, MUCK, okay? Remember, you have to use the code MixStream23. Drop me a message, right? Say that you are pledging this for episode 23, right? MixStream23, so that I know that your pledge is going to go towards MUCK, okay? So, all right, stay tuned. I want you to follow, all right, MUCK and their social media platforms. Everything is down in the description below. Right, they are definitely going to be keeping you updated and all the fans out there updated on the progress of their split album, which is going to be coming out soon, right? Really, really soon. And everyone has got to, right? Hopefully, all of us are going to be really, really excited, okay? Right. Thank you so much, folks, for watching. We're going to listen to this one more time, okay? We're going to listen to this one more time, and you right, really, really appreciate and enjoy this. Right, would be MUCK's new material in so long, in over 10 years, maybe 12 or 13 years, okay? So I bet all of the fans are super, super excited. So am I as well, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, okay, on this video. We found it useful, informative. Please share it with your friends, all the friends who are fans of like indie rock and our Malaysian indie music, okay? Share the video. Alright, if you're an indie band, if you want your song to be featured on MixStream, get in touch with me. All the details are down in the description below. If you're not a subscriber to the channel yet, please head on down, click on the subscribe button. Okay, really, really appreciate it. And sign up with our Patreon once again. Okay, if you want to help to support the channel and want to help to support artists financially. Okay, wow. Let's listen and listen to the first draft of the mix of Pretty Girl in Jeans, okay? The brand new single by MUCK. Okay. Let me set the playback points first so that we don't accidentally jump into the third song, okay? I'm not supposed to leak the other songs. You can see there's 1, there's 3, 2, there's 3 songs here actually. 1, 2, 3. So we're only listening to 1, okay? All right. Here we go. Let's start with bar 150. And this is going to exit at bar 250 lah. Okay. Right, cool. Let me set a loop. So here we go. Right. Pretty Girl in Jeans. Draft mix number 1. Thank you very much for watching, guys.
Your breasts and mine were made to one. Close your eyes and think of me. Close your eyes and try to see what we could be. Just you and me. Look inside this heart of mine. Look deeper than you'll find. We're meant to be. You're my everything.
Alright, okay. So there you go. That is the initial rough mix of the, not rough mix, okay? Initial draft mix of the song. Thank you very much, guys, alright? I'll see you all again real soon, okay? Hopefully in the next video, do stay tuned, right, for the other videos that I come out. I upload videos every week. I have mix streams every 2 weeks, followed with the Ask Me Anything sessions, plus lots of other videos on my channel as well. Thank you ever so much, guys, for watching. All of you have been awesome, okay? Right, stay safe, take care, right? Happy recording and mixing to every one of you, okay? Good night, and see you again real soon. Peace, love, and music.